Thank you so much for joining us today at Punk Black. I have Stormy Maya here, aka Cinnamon Babe. How are you doing today? Today is the day your EP dropped. How is it going?
It's going great. Today is the day my EP dropped. It's my EP Fatherless dropped today. It's doing very well already, so I'm excited.
I am so happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear that the response is overwhelming, to be honest. So let's just talk a little bit about your background and who you are. So, who is the multi-talented Stormy Maya?
I'm a woman of many hats. I'd like to just stay busy and I like to just be creative in different outlets. I don't limit myself. And so everything from film, TV to music to pictures. I'm an entertainer overall, so I just use every type of form of entertainment I can.
No, I love that. I love that you make music. I love that you're an actress. And for those who don't know, she's been in projects such as Hustlers, Do the Right Thing. I'm sorry, not Do the Right Thing. Um,
She's got to have it.
She's Gotta Have It, directed by Spike Lee on Netflix. So love to see all those accolades. Let's talk a little bit more about music. Who are some of your influences and who did you listen to growing up that kind of inspired you to be the artist that you are today?
So yeah, like definitely, being a new metal artist, most of my inspirations are within the genre. So everything from, my vocal style comes a lot from Zach De La Rocha, Rage Against the Machine, to biggest inspiration to Limp Bizkit, to Linkin Park, Papa Roach, Deftones. Um, and then, growing up, I started off listening to like my pop punk, like, My Chemical Romance, Paramore, Avril Lavigne, Cranberries, Green Day, you know, basically like the typical like teenage shit. And then I got to heavier stuff, like more like Slipknot, Corn. As I got, a little bit older, got also just like heavy rap too, like a lot of Public Enemy, NWA. So I was just into heavy music in general. Um, and then now, like some of the main artists I listen to, like Ginger, Straight Line Stitch. I listen to like a lot of like Arch Enemy. So like a lot of women-led bands inspire me a lot. So I like to see badass women doing badass shit. So yeah.
Period. And we love that. And speaking of badass women, you just released a song with OTEP about a month ago. So, how did that collaboration come about?
I have an awesome producer named SJ, and she's very well connected in the industry. She's been around for a while, so she made that connection. And OTEP liked what I was doing. She likes the direction I'm going in, and so it was easy to get her to agree because she respects what I'm doing. And a lot of OGs like my style because I'm really raw, something that's rare these
Yeah.
days. Definitely not like a trendy person. I'm more of like raw and honest, and I'm not afraid to be controversial. So a lot of OGs like that.
I think we all can attest to that and love that. And speaking of controversial, you did have the viral song and music video last year, Rock and Roll is Black. That
Yeah.
got so many views, really controversial. You got death threats, people hating on you, calling you the racist person. It's been a year since all of that happened and all the backlash. How are we with it today? Do you regret any of it? Did it catapult your career forward? How do you feel about it?
I don't live in regrets with anything. The only way I'd ever regret anything is if like I hurt somebody or something. But um, no, I think that the song started and provoked a very important conversation that needed to be had. And I think that it's difficult because, you know, being the center of that conversation, you get like it's a lot to deal with as far as like when people disagreed with me on my statements or when people wanted to be racist towards the statement, it all got directed to me. So that is difficult. And I think the most difficult part is so many people misinterpreting your art. Like, I had to explain my song and the meaning 1,000 times. And I think that was the most frustrating part, is that people, like, for some reason, had looked at me like I was racist or like I was being a gatekeeper when the song was actually in response to gatekeeping and a response to racism. So somehow I became racist for calling out racism, which is very weird. Um, and it just got, like I said, it got just frustrating because I felt like everyone was like gaslighting me. And then on top of it, people were just so hateful and so angry at the message that it sometimes blinded them from understanding what I was saying. But a year later, like, yeah, people still know me for it. I mean, that hasn't gone away. I think the song is just something that's very memorable, and it caused like a big uproar, so people aren't going to forget that. And I am still tagged as racist or, hateful, even though I'm not. But I got to a point where, I'm not going to explain my art a year later. If I've already had a ton of interviews and I've already explained it 1,000 times. So at this point, I feel like people are just choosing to be upset instead of like actually understanding what I'm saying. I also don't say anything racist in the song. So I think they just look at the title and they just judge it off the title, and they don't actually take time to like understand what I'm saying. Um, but at this point, like, I've moved on to other things, like, you know what I mean, and other topics. But I don't regret it at all. I'm proud of it. It's a piece of art I think is very important, especially in the scene. And a lot of people felt empowered by it, and a lot of people felt connected to it. So to me, that makes up for all the hate, the fact that it meant a lot to a lot of other people. So yeah.
As a Black woman, how has it been navigating the spaces as an artist? Now, I know you could provide a different perspective as opposed to somebody like me who just goes to shows as a Black woman versus somebody actually performing at these shows and interacting with the tour managers and the other bands. How has it been so far?
I mean, I think the main thing is like, because like I'm friends with like a lot of people in the scene that are Black that perform live. Um, and the thing about it is, number one, I will say a lot of people are bold on the internet more than anything. I'm not, so yeah, like a lot of shit goes down that can go down in person, but like in general, a lot of people are like big and tough on the internet. I've had like a lot of artists and people talk a lot of shit to me, but they, like I said, they're like really big and bold when it comes to the internet. Um, but the thing about it is like you really get more like kind of weird commentary from people more than anything. Like, people will always kind of announce like the fact that you're kind of different. And it's not necessarily racist. It's just a little bit awkward. I've had like a lot of A&Rs, labels, and like other artists like mention it to me like, oh, it's so cool, like you're a Black girl into this, or I don't know any Black girls that are into this. And like I feel like they just make it more like I said, it's more kind of like awkward. Because I remember when I first got into the scene, I had like a couple white artists that literally said that like to me boldly, like, "Oh, like it's so cool that you're like a Black girl into this," and it's kind of just like, I don't know if that's called racism. I think that's more like cringiness. I don't know what to call that shit. But even when I was talking to like some A&Rs and some labels, like they would mention that. But like I said, my biggest problem is more of the racial bias that's within like the labels themselves, within like the business itself. Like how a lot of people, they won't give you a chance if you they won't give you a chance if you are like, if you like look a certain way. They will like not give you the time of day. So like when I first came into the scene, I had like a lot of hip hop labels and R&B focused labels that would come towards me, which made no sense to me because I don't make hip hop or R&B. And so it was obviously what they were basing it upon. And then I'd say, "Oh, well, you don't have any rock artists or metal artists. So what do you think you can do with me?" And then they would just be like, "Oh, well, we're willing to take a chance," or da da. But it was making me uncomfortable because I'm like, well, I'm a rock artist. Why can't I be on a rock label? You know? And I also just I didn't want to feel like somebody's experiment. I felt like to reach my full potential, I wanted to be in the realm of like people who sound like me, the right radio stations, you know what I'm saying? The right avenues. Like, I don't want to be on hip hop pages and shit. Because the thing about, I'll tell you this, when like hip hop pages or like R&B focused pages, like more black music focused pages post me, I get roasted. Like,
Um,
like I get roasted because they're like, it's not the genre of music. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's
it's
not
not
the
your
genre of
audience.
music. It's not my audience. And I usually get a lot of comments like, oh, what's this devil music, this white people music, or this is weird. Um, like the community in general get like a lot of backlash from my own community who are like, this is weirdo shit. Like this is, but see, because I'm like, that's not my audience, you know. But I had a lot of labels and stuff like that that just because of how I look, they would give all these long haired white dudes a chance, even if they had like less streams than me, less followers, less clout, less whatever. They had a certain look and aesthetic. So off the gate, they were like welcomed into that label. And then for me, I had to be exceptionally good. I had to be like, oh, call us when she has a bajillion gajillion streams and all this other shit. But it's like you got white dudes on your label that got like 20,000 streams and stuff like that. Um, and then I even had labels tell me to my face like, oh, we don't know if you're gonna be marketable. We don't know if people are gonna like connect to you in this scene. And so it was like a lot of like people just, I said, the racial bias within the labels bother me the most. And then I'm lucky my distributor now, I'm now with this distro label called Version 3, and they do hip hop. Not hip hop. They, my God. So Version 3, they do metal, they do rock, they do alternative music. Specifically, that's it. And they actually gave me a chance. They come from a lot of these big labels, and their whole mission statement is taking a chance on people that the labels typically wouldn't take a chance on.
Mm-hmm.
Like basically like, you know, people they would sleep on. And so I thank them a lot because they overlooked a lot of stuff. And also it was also the fact of what I talk about too. I think like it's not just about being a black woman. It's also about being a woman who's speaking up in general about things that, like when women are not in society supposed to speak up about certain topics. I think a woman speaking up against racism, misogyny, is something that's very uncomfortable for people. And I noticed that like a lot of these men, they're able to like cry and bitch all day in their music, but with women, when we start speaking up about our struggles with like sexual assault, like I said, racism or like reproductive rights, then everyone gets really uncomfortable.
Right.
And you add to being a black to it, they even get even weirder about it. So it's like for a label to take a chance on me, you know, meant a lot because of the fact, like I said, I was told by some labels they wanted me to water down my voice in order to be marketable. They wanted me to um, push back on the whole controversial subjects, or, you know, not talk about things like I talk about. And, you know, I didn't want to dim that light. So yeah. So sorry for the rant, but
No, you're good. Never dim your light for anybody, especially these people out here.
no.
Yeah. And let's talk about Fatherless again for those who weren't paying attention. Fatherless dropped today, her
Orange.
EP. Yes. So let's talk about the title, Fatherless.
Basically, like, you know, it's short for fatherless activities because, you know, it's just something I always hear all the time as an insult. Like when women show their like bodies on the internet, or they're like just more sexually, um, you know, and just more sexually free. Okay, so yeah, fatherless is short for fatherless activities because with women like me who like show their bodies, who are more sexually liberated, typically the insult is like, oh, you must have not had a daddy, or you have daddy issues, or people even say like, yeah, fatherless activities, stuff like that. So basically, I kind of took it as like taking a word back, you know, embrace a word people use against me. Um, and then I also shared on the internet recently that like I'm kind of like in the single mom realm. And so kind of like it's kind of like both. But I think it's kind of funny because, you know, every time women like me are like very sexually liberated, people always use like the whole fatherless thing as like an insult, as if like we're to blame if like we had deadbeat fathers. I suppose, I guess we're at fault for that. I don't know, but I kind of like took it as, like I said, fatherless activities, like the kind of, behavior you would expect from a woman who shows her body, and the kind of behavior you would expect from somebody who doesn't have a daddy around. So I don't know, kind of just like played off of it. So yeah.
No, that's a lot of fun. I love that.
Okay.
Okay. So in the EP Fatherless, who is your music for and what message are you trying to get out?
So my music is basically for me. I don't really make it for anybody else but myself. I just make music like kind of like my diary. I just make stuff that like I want to hear, stuff that's about me, my experiences, stuff that bothers me. Um, and whoever relates to it relates to it. So some people think like I gatekeep who could listen to my stuff. No, anybody can.
Anybody can listen to your music. You make your music for anyone to listen to.
Basically, like make music for myself, and it's like my diary. It's from me, my thoughts, my ideas, the things I stand for. And if anybody relates to it or just likes it, then I think that's awesome. But like I really just focus on just making stuff for my own self-expression. Like I don't try to make stuff that's gonna trend, or I don't try to make stuff that's gonna get like, like, oh, it's gonna be popular. I just make stuff that I personally like, that relates to me. It's just me kind of like screaming, getting my anxieties out, getting my anger out. That's kind of really what it's about. It's just really about this for me, just like pure expression. But like I get like a lot of like straight guys, white guys who are always like weirdly asking me if like they can listen to my music, and I'm always like, I would never stop anybody from listening to my music. Such a weird question when they're like, can I listen to it? I'm always like, I don't know, I guess I just don't get it. I'm like, well, why, do you ask that about every other artist that you listen to on the radio and stuff? Probably not. But like, no, of course you can listen to it. Anybody can listen to it. I don't care what race you are, what color you are, male, woman, anybody can listen to it as long as like they like it. Even if they don't like it, they can listen to it. So, I never really understood that question. I'm like, of course, I'm not going to stop you. I mean, the more streams, the merrier anyway, Like, I would never stop a person from listening. But yeah.
Exactly. Nope, I'm with you on that. And then what is next for Cinnamon Babe?
I mean, I have some singles that I've already made that I'm going to drop after the EP. And I'm working on starting to build the next project. I was starting to build the next project as this project was. So I'm gonna just keep dropping music, dropping stuff, trying to get better as an artist, because I feel like I'm getting better with time as well. Like I feel like I'm vocally getting better. I'm getting better. To me, it's like my practice. I really want to go tour. That's like one of my biggest goals, like getting out there, doing a lot of shows, touring the country, touring outside the country. Like I just want to like, just bigger and bigger, just grow, like no limitations. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I love that for you. Thank you for joining us here at Punk Black. Tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me anywhere, with Cinnamon Babe music, like YouTube, Amazon Music, Spotify, Cinnamon Babe, Find me anywhere Cinnamon Babe is at. Twitter, TikTok, whatever.
Instagram, everywhere.
Yeah, I don't limit it. So thank you, Punk Black, for having me.
Always, always. And again, for those watching, go listen to Fatherless. It is out today. Let us know what you think about it. And thank you again so much, Miss Cinnamon Babe, for joining us today.
Hey guys, what's up? I'm here with Punk Black being interviewed by Dragonbabyt. Let's go! Cinnamon Babe in the house. Woo!
That was perfect. I love it.